Why would anyone work for no money? The essence of the answer to that is for access to all the local goods and services available. The principal claim for the local economy is that its products are freely available to the local populace in virtue of the labor they provide, regardless of what labor they are providing. The underpinning economic principle is that if it costs no money to produce some good or service, then it also costs no money to utilize said good or service. Its costs are in labor, not money. Perhaps more pointedly, the agreements between people actually underpin the labor and nothing more. For folks steeped in the lore of money, such likely will sound like an outlandish kind of claim. However, the soundingness is far more a result of their failure to break free from the imaginative bonds their lore holds upon them than anything of serious concern. Such isn't really that much different than why it is that anyone works within the current economic system. They work for money, which gives them free access primarily to the local goods and services available, insofar as the money is capable of providing them access. Money is just a tool, in a meaningful sense, a measurement tool, though it has had, and perhaps may have had, additional uses. What it supposedly measures is the value of the labor someone is doing, thereby granting them a portion or share of the local goods and services available within society, predicated exactly upon the value of the labor they produce. That notion, however, is fairly far-flungly flawed. The supposition that money actually measures the value of labor in a meaningful sense is inverse to its functional role in society. It is, in other words, a bad tool of measurement for such things. Within a moneyless society, we are simply removing the tool and holding to an ethical principle that everyone in a society deserves more or less equal access to the goods and services available within the local economy. In that context, it is worth noting that within a moneyed society they are also trying to hold to an ethical principle, recalling that money has no intrinsic value. The point of mentioning this, as will come up oft in this piece, is that the notion of holding to an ethical principle is not outlandish, radical, etc., and as it is done in the current systemization, it cannot be used as a rationale or justification as to why not to do a moneyless free labor society. The readers ought note that in abstraction and in practice, when the tool of money is removed, the real value of the economic comes to the fore. The production and distribution of goods and services, the labors involved thereof, the meeting of supply with demand, are all plausible measures of value that don't actually have anything whatsoever to do with money as such, but are what money as such is supposed to measure. That money does so poorly is of relevance for the various social and economic ills the species faces. As will be expanded upon a fair amount later in this piece, the utilization of the new tools of big data, big computer, and the extensive lore within the various industries that the species has is simply accomplishing the same tasks that money was set to, only better, and without the extraneous hardships associated with the use of the tool of money. This piece holds that such freedom and liberty of access is at least at first pass merely towards that available within the local economy, because that is exactly where the labor is primarily done, and that is where the goods and services are primarily available. Such clearly will run into different kinds of challenges within a relativized non-local economy, the aforementioned, larger and smaller scalarly relevant economies. Again, before we delve into those, folks need to firstly get a handle on the local economies. Such will also tend to run into real issues and concerns on a local level. These shall be addressed a bit later in this piece. To try and be clear what freedom and liberty of access actually entails within a local economy, I shall be fairly blunt about many of the pragmatics involved. When a local laborer goes to the local grocery store, they simply pick up the foods and supplies they need, want and desire for the household with exactly no exchange of monies taking place. When people go to a local show, there is no admission price, they simply go. When they go to the local furniture maker, they simply select the kind of furniture they want. When they go to the local bar, they simply order the drinks they want. When they go to the local restaurant, they simply order the food that they want. In all cases, there is exactly no exchange of monies taking place. What is being exchanged is labor within the local economy. Why does the furniture maker bother to make furniture at all? Because the furniture maker, like everyone else in the local economy, is being given free access to all the goods and services available within the local economy. Again, to be blunt about it, the furniture maker makes the furniture because by doing that labor they are thereby granted access to the labors of the seamstresses and tailors, the labors of the farmers, the labors of brewers and distillers. In sum, they are thereby granted access to the labors of everyone within the local economy, and not necessarily for any other reason. There are, however, other reasons that anyone within the local economy may choose to do the labors they do. Prestige, accolades, passion, fun, boredom, and necessity are all good reasons people within a local economy may choose to do any given labor. Call such rewards working for Doof. Working for Doof amounts to the abstraction of agreements that is already in place within a moneyed society, after the removal of the symbology involved. I want to touch upon a particular motive that speaks to the point far beyond those of typical concern of the economists. Namely, the motive to work for family, for community, and not really for any other particular reason. To work for Doof is to work with the understanding that by doing so we are thereby providing well for everyone within the community, and on a somewhat more personal level, we are thereby providing well for our families. Again, we may speak of motivations that are pertinent to the individual in terms of what specific kinds of labor they may do, and those concerns do matter in terms of determinations of how and what labors are done in particular. But in terms of why anyone would work at all, that is, why would anyone work for no money, their primary and indeed likely most powerful, pertinent and salient motivation is that by doing so one provides well for one's family, and a bit more broadly, for one's community. Understanding that by contributing to broader scalar, really fractal scalar forms, such as community, bioregional, interbioregional, and global scalars, those larger scalar entities in turn better take care of the smaller scalar forms. A well-running community, to be a bit blunt about it, provides far better than an individual's basic concerns for their self, or for that matter, than what a given family can provide for themselves alone. Such is hardly a particularly novel take or understanding, and yet, such is so fundamental a component to the motivational factors involved in why and how people would choose to work that it underpins the economic, the social, the cultural well-being of a community. It is certainly sufficient to the task of the dubious ask in this little section, why would anyone work for free? Are you even serious? Is the suggestion seriously that working for Doof is not sufficient for someone? What other kind of motivation are such folks suggesting they or anyone else needs? Are there people whom look upon the reality, the information available, the basic reasoning, of maximally providing for the well-being of their families, indeed, for themselves, and wonder, well sure, but what do I get out of it?
What you say?